Kurt Warner is brutally honest about Shedeur Sanders. Kurt Warner's honesty struck a nerve not because it was harsh, but because it was unmistakably real. In a football world obsessed with instant gratification and overnight legends, Warner dared to slow everything down. He dared to challenge the viral momentum surrounding Shedeur Sanders. And in doing so, he created a moment that felt strangely rare in today's sports media landscape. An evaluation that wasn't influenced by fan pressure, internet noise, or the magnetic weight of the Sanders brand. Instead, it came from a man who built his entire identity on doing things the right way, even when nobody believed in him. The more Warner talked, the more it became clear that he saw pieces of himself in Shedeur. Not the background, not the story, not the journey, but the struggle of being overlooked in the details. Warner knows what it's like to be doubted. He knows the sting of people overlooking flaws until the game exposes them. And he knows, more than almost anyone alive, that raw talent is often the easiest part of the equation. What matters is who you become when the game tries to break you. That is the battlefield where quarterbacks are shaped or shattered. Warner's evaluation grew more emotional as he continued. He replayed snaps where Shedeur's mechanical brilliance shone. Quick release throws, tight window completions, and the kind of pocket calm that almost feels supernatural for a young quarterback. This kid, Warner said, shaking his head softly, has ice in his veins. I love that. I love the confidence. I love the command. And yet he followed each compliment with a deeper truth. But confidence can't turn into stubbornness. You can't hold the ball waiting for the big play every time. The NFL doesn't give you completion number 2 or 3 unless you take number 1 when the defense gives it to you. That idea, taking what the defense gives, has been a foundational principle of Warner's philosophy. It's the secret that elevated him from an unknown in the Arena League to a Super Bowl MVP. And when he said Shedeur still hasn't truly learned that discipline, it carried weight. Warner clicked through more plays, highlighting moments where Shedeur could have hit a check down for 10 yards instead of waiting for a deep shot that never materialized. To a casual viewer, the hesitation looks bold, even exciting. To a quarterback like Warner, it looks like a trap waiting to spring. He knew it because he lived it. He saw the ghosts before Shedeur ever would. But Warner's honesty wasn't meant to diminish Shedeur's trajectory. In fact, it was the opposite. The sincerity in his voice made it clear that he believes Shedeur can reach incredible heights, maybe heights very few quarterbacks ever reach. But Warner also stressed that none of it will happen if Shedeur lives inside the comfort of social media hype. The NFL, Warner warned, doesn't bend for swagger. It doesn't bow to charisma. It doesn't care who your father is, what your warm-up videos look like, or how many millions of people repost your highlight reels. The NFL respects only one thing: growth. Warner leaned back in his chair for a moment, almost reflecting outwardly. People don't understand, he said quietly. Playing quarterback isn't about being the most athletic or the most confident. It's not even about the strongest arm. It's about decision-making. Split-second, brutally difficult decisions when everything is collapsing. He paused the film at a frame where defenders closed around Shedeur like a vice. Right here. This is where you learn who you are. To Warner, Shedeur's greatness will not be defined by his ability to make spectacular throws. It will be defined by what he does when the spectacular is no longer available. When the pocket breaks down, when a disguised blitz erases the first read, when a safety rotates late, when a defense decides it's time to test everything you know. Warner replayed one such moment, an incompletion where Shedeur hesitated for a beat too long. That window? In college, it's open. In the NFL, it's closed. You have to see it before it's there, and release it before you trust it. He doesn't do that yet. It wasn't criticism, it was a roadmap. Warner wasn't tearing Shedeur down. He was outlining the steps to becoming elite. But even beyond the mechanics and the reads, Warner's evaluation cut deeper into the emotional core of quarterbacking. He pointed out that Shedeur plays with a type of brashness and personal fire that mirrors Deion Sanders himself. And while Warner respected that, He also warned that NFL defenses love nothing more than humbling swagger. When you're the quarterback, he said, you're not just playing a game. You're playing a chess match against men who study you every day. They look for cracks. They look for weaknesses. They look for any sign that they can break you mentally. You can't give them anything. The emotional weight of Warner's words became even clearer when he delved into what makes Shedeur unique. He acknowledged the composure that seems to be stitched into Shedeur's DNA, the swagger inherited from his father, but filtered through a quarterback's lens. Warner admired how Shedeur embraces expectations rather than running from them. Many young quarterbacks crumble under pressure, but Shedeur seems to breathe it in like oxygen. Warner could see that. He could feel it. But he also recognized the danger in that trait, the thin line between confidence and obstinance. He plays like he wants to prove something every snap, Warner said. And that's dangerous, because sometimes proving something is the exact opposite of winning. As the film kept rolling, Warner's tone softened even further, almost fatherly. He spoke about the responsibility Shedeur carries, not just to his team, but to his last name, to the young fans who idolize him, to the players who question whether hype can coexist with humility. Warner talked about how lonely the quarterback position becomes at the highest level. When it goes wrong, he said, you stand alone. And when it goes right, it still finds a way to humble you. He wanted Shedeur to understand that truth before the league delivered it to him in harsh fashion. Yet even after all the critique, there was something powerful in Warner's eyes: belief. True belief. Not hype. Not marketing. Not excitement. Authentic belief in Shedeur's long-term future. The kind that comes only from someone who sees greatness not as something flashy or miraculous, but as something earned through relentless refinement. Warner wasn't predicting failure. He was predicting evolution. He could see the raw clay, the foundation, the building blocks of a quarterback who could one day dominate the league if he chooses to embrace the uncomfortable process that greatness demands. Warner finished his analysis with a calm, steady certainty. He's going to be good, he said. Really good. But the question isn't whether he can play. The question is whether he's willing to face the truth about what he needs to fix. If he does that, if he commits to the details, the boring stuff, the unglamorous stuff, he could be special. Those final words lingered long after the film session ended, because they didn't come from a critic. They didn't come from a YouTube breakdown or a sports talk personality chasing clicks. They came from Kurt Warner, a man who lived through the furnace of misjudgment, who overcame flaws bigger than Shedeur's, and who knows precisely what it takes to rise above the noise and become unforgettable. Warner's honesty wasn't brutal because it mocked Shedeur. It was brutal because it respected him, because Warner sees what Shedeur can be, because he knows the price of greatness, because he refuses to let a young quarterback be blinded by the spotlight when the real work, the real journey, has barely begun.